Sara, welcome to the program. Are you there?
Yeah, great to be on the show, Glenn. Thank you so much.
So can you tell me, first of all, we didn't apparently have a responsibility to protect the Coptic Christians, but we did have the responsibility to protect Libya. When the Christians were being slaughtered, the woman who was pushing this, Cass Sunstein's wife, the woman who was pushing this responsibility to protect, was at a Charlie Chaplin film festival. But now apparently the Charlie Chaplin Film Festival is over, and it seems like we're marching to war. Do you believe that or not?
Certainly seems like mission creep, doesn't it? And you could see why she didn't want to admit where she was at that night, because that's pretty despicable when your job is definitely to be in place when things like, particularly what we saw in Egypt and that nature, get out of control. And, you know, Glenn, what we're seeing right now in Syria is such a phenomenal mess, such a foreign policy mess on the part of the United States in particular, that I don't even know if they know what they're doing. Just like you said, do we even have the information from the ground yet? Did Assad use chemical weapons? I think maybe both sides have done really terrible things right now, but we don't have the facts. The facts aren't there to support this yet. And like you said, who were these snipers that were shooting at the UN? Why didn't they want them there, these UN inspectors? And we have to question that before we move any further. And I was on the phone. As you know, I try to get the message from the ground. I try to talk to the people who are in Syria. I spoke to several different people. One rebel said he didn't have information on the chemical attacks, that he wasn't a witness to this. Another, and he put me in touch with somebody who did. And that person I couldn't get a hold of right away. The third person that I spoke to last night said, yes, chemical weapons have been used by the Assad regime on them, but he wasn't a witness to this chemical attack. So right now what we're left with is a lot of unanswered questions. And this is a very, very tenuous situation. I mean, this is what analysts and people I've spoken to advise the president call mission creep. We're slowly setting up our cards. And remember, when people start to talk about this in the government, when they say, okay, we're going to set up a no-fly zone, okay, we're going in, this is how it started in Iraq. This is how it started in Afghanistan. And we have to realize that we're setting ourselves up.
This is how it started in Vietnam.
That's right.
I am gravely concerned because Russia has already warned us. Iran has already warned us. If we get involved in this, I believe, and I would imagine you do too, Sara. I've never talked to you about this, but I would imagine you believe that the Iranians have operatives here on the ground that are willing to die for Allah and the cause. And we definitely know that they have them right across our border, which is wide open, and they're all over in South America. I believe that if we begin to engage in Syria, that is a line in the sand for Russia, because they've already stated it, and Iran, and it will set off, it will pull the trigger on terrorist operations all around the world and here in the homeland. Would you agree with that?
Yes, I would agree with you on that. Look, Iran doesn't invest so much money in South America, Latin America, Mexico, and operations globally because they're just doing it to expand their ideology. I mean, Iran is setting up definitely their own proxy, small proxy armies, and we've seen that with the money that they invest in Hezbollah and everything else. And remember, this is essentially a proxy war in Syria. I mean, Iran is vying for power. They don't want to see Assad lose his grip. That's their one major ally there. We have the Russians, who definitely have a lot of investment in Syria, not just with, weapon sales, but with the port in Syria, which they rely on so heavily. And also, they're vying for power in this struggle between the West and what we're seeing as in a way, a former Soviet stature, this game playing in the Middle East, in this theater of war. So it's becoming such a complex struggle and such a power struggle there that you're absolutely right, Glenn. We don't know. And especially if the collapse of Assad happens, which some people in the Middle East I've spoken to who are definitely right on target, who have been, said that they see it coming. They see it coming. They see Assad crumbling. And then they said, what's going to happen with Iran? It was the same question you just posed. What is Iran going to do? How is Iran going to move its players in this chess game and create more and more havoc for the United States and for the West?